Hello. Hello. Okay, I don't know if anybody can hear me. Problem is, I don't know if I can. Jeff, can you hear me? Okay. But I didn't hear anything on that. Let's open up.
Get ready! Get ready! Get ready!
That's the problem. Okay, that's the first problem. Oh, I bet you I know what's got to happen. Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second. I got to fix something. Sorry, I just need a minute. All right, let's give it a shot. Okay, sorry guys, a little technical difficulty. Had to move a little bit this week. Welcome to the Hard Rockin' Sports Show, live from high atop Hard Rockin' Sports Studios in beautiful St. Bernard, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get-together where we bring you all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, of course, the wide world of sports. And we're going to get right into it this week, guys. We got a big show ahead of you. Talk a little Subway Series, New York Knicks basketball. But the big part of this week's show is going to be another round of tournaments. This one, 2 tournaments. We're going to be doing the greatest of all-time album covers, 2 categories, heavy metal and classic rock. Of course, put together by Jeff. So I will be opening that up in a minute as soon as I let's move that over here and open that up. I really need to close that. Sorry, guys, just a little maintenance right now. Give me a half a second. I'll get Jeff up in a minute, and then we'll get the show kicked off. Album covers over to this side of the screen. All right, I hope you guys have had a good week, and I hope you're going to stay safe this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and we send our love and prayers to all of those who have served, are serving, and all those who have given their lives for our country, serving in the military. As Memorial Day weekend, as you get older, you realize what Memorial Day weekend is all about, and we hope that all of you veterans out there know how much that most of us in America love and respect you, and we look and we thank you for your service. Again, let me get Jeff right up so we can get to figure out how the show is moving at this point. I know it's a little. I had to make a couple of adjustments this week, so stand by. Let's get Jeff up and kick the show into high gear. Jeff, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna fix the layout. Give me a second. I've been doing a little. I moved into my living room, which hard for me to explain. Why is it doing this? I want to fix something. Hold on. Okay, let's do that. All right, let's fix the layout. I don't like us in circles. I don't know why we're in circles, Jeff. That's the part I'm not getting.
I have no idea what's going on over there, man.
Yeah, me either. I'm having a hard time hearing you. The problem is if I take you off, if I kill this speaker, then if I kill the speaker, then I go back to my regular screen, and the problem is I have a hard time opening things up. So, yeah, that's what it feels like. I'm looking through binoculars. I'm trying to get rid of the layout. I don't know where. Sorry, guys, just bear with me. Nope, that's what we want to try. There we go. Back to normal. There we go. All right, so we're getting there. Sorry, I had to move for my dog. I had to move to the front so he wouldn't be alone. And so I'm hoping you guys hear me. It's a little low on this side. May 23rd. Today's the 22nd, right?
Today? I guess, yeah.
I'm going to have to unplug because I can't hear Jeff. You there, Jeff?
I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm here.
Yeah, now I got you. Now you're much better. The problem is I'm going to have a hard time putting up the album covers, but I'll have to figure it out. Okay. Anyway, show started, Jeff. Let's kick it off like we always do every week. Jeff, how was your week?
What a hectic week, man. It sucked.
Yeah? Why is that?
Well, just every single day there was something going on. You know, I just never, one night I had to work overtime. A couple nights I had to run home for practice, then run right back out. Then any night that I did get to stay home, you know, go straight home, it rained. Not that I do anything, you know, worthwhile when I get home anyway, but you know.
I hear you. It's been too quiet a week for me. Last couple of weeks at work have been way too quiet. I've had a lot of running around to do this week, so it's dentist appointments and airport runs and all sorts of stuff this week. It's been pretty eventful, but I'm looking forward to tonight's show. A lot to talk about. Last week we had our good buddy Carmine on, and he made some predictions about the Subway Series, which none of which came through. The Yankees won 2 of 3, and Juan Soto was a complete bust. In fact, Jeff, I know you don't pay attention very much to baseball. I do, and I'm listening to a lot of sports radio, and the Met fan and Rob Finelli, who's listening at the moment, can attest. A lot of Met fans are kind of up in arms about Juan Soto because of not only his lack of significant performance, but there's been a lot of questions on his play, and specifically on hustling, Jeff. A couple of opportunities where the guy didn't run, and people are starting to talk. And when you're not playing well and you're not hustling and you're making $765 million contract, it does tend to open you up to a little bit of scrutiny.
Yeah, I would say it's going to open you up for some shit, man. Without a doubt, it's not a good look, and I don't know. I mean, I never say anything because I'm not a baseball guy.
Yeah.
But, like you said, when we talked about it in the past, and Frank Catalano's been on, and he's like, well, I'm not worried yet. Well, it's almost June.
Yes.
This time is June.
Yeah.
When do you start getting worried?
Well, that's a great point. And, it doesn't matter. Here's the thing. So the Mets needed Juan Soto more for his star power than his actual ability. Now, they needed his ability. Don't get me wrong. He's a great hitter. The problem is he's not a great base runner. He's not a good outfielder. He's not a great outfielder. That's not a good outfielder. He's not bad. He's an average ball player other than as a hitter. The guy's a great hitter. Has been since he came in the league. So that has not materialized. So when you get a guy who's really, a one-tool player and that one tool's not working very well, you're going to open yourself to a little bit of scrutiny. People are going to get on you. But if you're out there and you're busting your ass, Jeff, and you're trying, people will forgive you and they'll figure, I don't know, he'll come around. But when your team is kind of struggling, you're not hitting for the first half of the season, and you're not hustling, and people can see it flat out, and you're denying you're not hustling. That's a very, very bad combination of things to have to deal with.
Well, listen, like I said, right now I'm not a baseball guy. You know that.
I got you.
Other than playing the baseball game.
Yeah.
Right now, Juan Soto has 8 home runs, 21 RBIs, 76 total bases. Lindor leads the Mets with 10 home runs. So right off the bat, he would have to get 79 more RBIs just to crack 100. And he has 4 months to do it.
Correct.
That's a tall order.
Yes.
I see what Peter just wrote and added to this screen. Is he jealous? Maybe is he, is he upset with himself? We don't know. We won't know that. But it's something that he was brought there to do something, and he's having a hard time of it. I'm not going to rip the guy apart because I don't know, but I know that he was not one to lead the league in home runs in his previous years anyway. I would say he's an above power hitter as far as, like numbers go. But, I mean, he's not leading the league. He's not like Judge or somebody like that. No,
and that's sort of the problem is he's not Judge. But the bigger
and by the way, the Mets are 2 games on out of first place right now, too.
Correct. Yes. Which
kind of big.
Yeah, which all lays into what we talked about last week. And, the other problem is there's been a couple of prominent journalists, let's call them. So Michael Kay being one of them, came out and said that there's rumors that he's unhappy being a Met, that he took the contract because his family wanted it. And believe me, people are going after him. The rumor earlier this week was, he doesn't fly with the team. He's got private jets. And that's not necessarily true. The truth is he flies with the team, but his family has use of a private jet to go to any away game they want to go to. So, he has a lot of perks, and the family must have wanted it, and his family is very influential with him, and they said, go to the Mets. There are more than one person that I've read and who I've heard say that there are rumblings inside the Met locker room that he's not happy being a New York Met. Now, if that's the case, boo-hoo, big boy. Suck it up and go play. Unfortunately for him, he signed a 15-year contract. Nobody forced him to put his hand to paper. He could have got a few dollars less and stayed a Yankee and maybe not gotten all the perks that the Mets gave him. But, if you really wanted to be a Yankee, the money was close, really close.
Yeah, and something, I don't know what the story is as far as like who he wanted to play for and everything else. But yeah, you're right. I remember us discussing that. But a guy like Soto, his age and what he's accomplished so far, pretty much could have played wherever he wanted to.
Sure.
Like he could have picked his destination wherever he wanted to go. If he wanted to play for a winner, he could have went on the Yankees or the Dodgers. If he wanted money, evidently he could have went with the Mets or Yankees, or, if he wanted a challenge, maybe he could have went to a small market team. Maybe say, I want to play for the White Sox. I want to carry this team. I want to do this. Sure. Maybe what you could have done was sign a 3-year deal. Maybe the media and the fans, and I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm just throwing things out there. These people all want these guys locked up in any sport. Why would you want to sign a guy to a 15-year deal? Haven't baseball history and sports history itself shown that these long-term deals are just maybe not always the way to go. Bobby Bonilla, a couple others. Wasn't Vince Coleman a thorn in the Mets side for many years?
Yeah, there's been a few contracts like that. Sure.
Jacob Ellsbury, what was that his name?
Jacoby Ellsbury. Yep, he had a long deal with the Yankees that was a shit deal.
Look at Giancarlo Stanton. The Yankees got him for how many more years? It's it's a lot of money, man.
Agreed. But there's a difference between signing a guy to a 10 or 15-year deal and the team regretting it 5 or 6 years down the road because it didn't materialize. And there's another problem when the player 4 months into the season, is walking around miserable, not playing well, and has the fans calling up, the local radio station and saying the guy's a bum. Now, to Pete's point, Pete, you're right. He is so much better. I would have been happy if they signed him because they had success with him. But I do love the fact that he left and they did so much with it. They got Goldschmidt. They got Bellinger. They signed Max Fried, who's been amazing. So would this team been as good this year with him? I don't know. They went to a World Series with him last year. So, hey, Phil DiGamatti, what's up?
William Gibbons.
But I will say that the big problem, if you're the Mets, is the perception at this point that he's unhappy being a Met. So if you're Steve Cohen, you got to grab him on the side and say, dude, your family's got a private jet. You're cashing a big check. Put a smile on your face and go play baseball because you're making me look like a jerk.
Let me ask you something. What could have happened in 4 or 5 months' time, however it's been? First of all, the season's not even 2 months old.
It's barely 2 months old. Yeah,
just about 2 months old.
Yeah.
What could have happened in the 2 months the season's been going and the other couple months prior that you signed that you would dislike it this much? I don't understand that.
Think about it, Jeff. Let's say you're in a band for a year and you love the people. I'll just use 25 Missions. You love Billy Grads and his dad. They're great guys. You're loving every second of it. You're having a good time. Year comes up and they go, Jeff, we might not do this anymore. And you go to another band. And you get there and you're playing the same music, but the people just aren't the same type of people. So it could be, as simple as, the way the Mets do things, maybe a little different. The people, the people in the locker room, there might not be the same camaraderie that he had with the Yankees. And let's be honest, I'm sorry, and this is a little biased, but there's a big difference being a New York Yankee playing in front and next to Aaron Judge than it is being a Met. I'm sorry, it's just a little different. So
I understand that all. You're 100% right, but today's ball player is a money player, as we know, 1,000 times over. And the other thing to think about in all of this is that when you're a money player, you're playing for the money, and you're getting the money that he's getting.
Yep.
And just little perks, which actually aren't little perks. If they're giving his family a private jet to follow him around wherever he is, well, that's huge. That's huge. With his money, he should be able to buy a private jet,
and he can. So he could have took the Yankees' money, basically the same money, in one less year, about $5 million less a year over the total part of the contract, and he could have bought his own jet and let his family fly around the country with it, and been happy as a Yankee. Now again, these immediate
who's saying that he was more happy, that he would have been more happy as a Yankee?
I'm just saying that's what people are reporting. I have no idea. I'm just going to say we have no idea if this is actually true or not. He may be unhappy because he's not hitting. He could be unhappy for 100 other reasons. All I'm saying is the perception right now, and people are coming out, people like Michael Kay and Bob Klapisch are coming out and saying he doesn't like being a Met. He's unhappy. If you're Steve Cohen, you got to walk in and grab him and say, dude, I've given you this, that. I gave you the suite you wanted. I gave you a jet for your family. I gave you $765 million. Put a goddamn smile on your face and go out there and play baseball. And he owes that to the Mets. I mean, if you don't want to be there, I don't know what what you have as a leverage at this point. He's not getting the Mets aren't going to trade him.
They
I mean, it
can't
would be the biggest embarrassment in the world if they traded him.
don't even bother with that. Don't even think of that. Let's put it this way first. How could you trade him? How could anybody want to take him in a trade?
Correct.
First of all, just the contract that you would be paying, one. Two, here's a guy that the season is 2 months old. He's not delivering like he should have.
Right.
Or, close to what he should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to get him and trade for him. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And he's unhappy after a couple months. If that's the case,
If that's the case. Yeah, so to me, but again, I think if you're Juan Soto, you owe it to your teammates and you owe it to, like Pete said before, he didn't greet his teammate. Again, maybe there's hard feelings there. I don't know, but I was going to reach out to Carmine and get him on this week to see if I can break his balls about his predictions from last week. But I've decided to. We had the big show tonight. We're going to do another round of tournaments. This time, 2 tournaments. We'll have to go through them as quick as possible. And you're going to have to give me the criteria for this, which are the greatest album covers in hard rock and metal.
Well, classic rock.
Classic rock and metal. So we're going to get to it in the middle, minute. I'm going to plug back in. He's in hiding. Yes, I think he is. I saw Mo Hedman's post today with his picture on the milk carton. I thought that was great.
Are you friends with Mo Hedman?
Yes.
You know him?
I don't. I only know him through Carmine and the post.
Because some of the stuff that these two go back and forth
it's great. It's great.
Unbelievable. It's great stuff.
Did you see Mo's post today?
No, I'm not friends with him. I don't know the guy to even send him a friend request. But I mean, it's just I've seen some of it in the past. It's goddamn hysterical, man.
I'll try to share it later just because it's hysterical. It's him on a cover of a milk carton saying he's missing right now. It's freaking great. So I'll try to find it. But we're talking a little Mets. We'll talk about a little Mets baseball. Yankees, of course, won another game today, 1-0, and they're finding different ways to win. And they're up to 30 wins. They're right in the mix and playing good baseball. Judges, of course, still hitting over 400, and we're creeping into June. It's easy to say it. There is Judge and there is everybody else. I don't know who people consider the second best player in baseball. It's not Juan Soto. Juan Soto might be the second best hitter in baseball. He's not the second best baseball player in baseball. And it's not even Mike Trout anymore. Mike Trout has disappeared at this point. It's maybe Bobby Witt Jr. over in Kansas, shortstop of Kansas City. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani.
He keeps getting hurt, man. It's almost like it shouldn't even count.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom, you want to take this over for a few? I gotta feel the withdrawal.
Go ahead, and then we'll just we'll get started on the tournament. No problem. I'll talk a little about the Knicks last night and what a disaster that was. That was the perfect time to put this away. Up 19, up 14 with 2.5 minutes left, and then you lose that game. If you're the Knicks, we always talk about, you can't lose 2 games. You get back, you win a couple games in Indiana. If you're the Knicks, Friday night, not only do you have to win, you got to put your foot on their throat. Because right now, if you're Indiana, you don't care about anything. That was an embarrassing loss in your building, all the hype. You had plenty of time to rest. That was one of the most embarrassing losses I've ever witnessed in any sport, and certainly as a Knicks fan. And I saw some bad Knicks losses in my life, but that was one of the worst losses I have ever seen. So, I think the Knicks have to do a lot to get back. And I think if you're the Knicks, you wanted to play tonight. Obviously, they're not playing till tomorrow night, but of course, if you're the Knicks, you're chomping to get back on the floor, and you need to go out there and stomp the Pacers Friday night. If that game's even a close game and the Knicks were to win, if you're the Pacers, you're pumped to go home, win a bunch of games. Yeah, pretty much, Pete. Yeah, it's the truth. I mean, that's probably as bad as what's that guy's name? Was the tall, skinny guy played at Pitt? I could see his face. The Nick, he must have missed 5 shots in a row. I cannot think of his name. So, but that last night was worse than that loss. I can't think. Yeah, that was painful. I mean, you're up 19, you're cruising, you're up 14 with 2 minutes and 30-something seconds left, and then you wind up losing. Yes, I agree with that. If you're Halliburton, you can't do that. That's just bulletin board. But you know what? I don't blame them. To a certain extent, I don't blame them for it. I mean, they did. They choked. Let's call it what it was. I would never have done that. And if I was his coach, I'd be grabbing him on the side and telling him, shut the F up. But I could also, that's as painful a loss as a Knick fan as I've ever seen. Yeah, Pete, I agree with you. But to me, if he would have walked off the court, patting him on the back and telling him good game, if you aren't motivated for Friday night, if you're that Knick team and if you don't show up in that building at noon, dressed in your locker waiting for that game to happen, boy, oh boy, you shouldn't need any motivation. Your motivation should be you just got your butt whipped on national TV, had to listen. We had to listen to Reggie Miller crowing. Oh, man, forget it. So we'll see how it plays out Friday night. Tomorrow night, you got tomorrow, and then right back on Sunday. I like this much better than the old days. The old days for basketball would be like 2 or 3 days between games, and now they're playing right away. I think this is great. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's game. So hopefully get a Knick win. And if I'm the Knicks, step on their throats and show them, that you're the boss. And then you got to go in Sunday and kick the crap out of them. So, but we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of football stuff to talk about. Not much in the way of music. Stop. Hey, stop. That's my dog. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, reason you're babysitting the dog, man, for those who want to know.
Oh, well, if they want to know, my wife's away. She went to go visit her daughter. And if I did the show in the room, my dog would be on my lap or hanging in here crying. So I figured I'd move everything into the living room. That way he can stay on the couch, which is his normal spot. And I could do the show and him, but right now I got the TV on, and every time an animal pops up on the TV, he barks like he's going to attack them and teach them a lesson.
Oh, he's one of those.
Yes, my dog.
And how old is he?
He's 4. He'll be 14 this year.
Well, you know what? Leave him alone.
Exactly. So I let him do his business. And
he's earned the right to bark at imaginary animals.
Absolutely right, 100%. So, but we got a lot to get to. We'll talk about it. We still have we got a lot of football to get to if we have the time. We got about an hour and a half. We'll see how fast. Now, Jeff, before I switch to the second monitor so that way I can bring up all the album covers. So it's you and I. Maybe we'll take some feedback from anybody who's out there listening with us when we do our tournament. And I came up with some tournament brackets, and I have all the album covers so we can bring them up. What is the criteria for our judgment? So we bring up 2 album covers. Does it have anything to do with how good the album was or how well it did? Is it just basically strictly to how iconic the cover is or great the cover is?
A little bit of everything, man. Maybe what that album meant to that band at that point in time, or what that album meant to us at that point in time when it was out. I had to do a metal and classic rocks bracket because I couldn't justify putting some of the classic rock albums in with the metal albums. I felt as though that there would just be too many that wouldn't be fair. But I was like, how could I not include this album? And There's just some you'll see as we go along.
Yeah,
There was just some album covers that I'm like, they just have to be in a battle like this. So then I was like, I can probably find enough to make 2 different brackets and for something to do. And
No. Listen, we could have split it up. We and did them on separate days, but nope. Let's see how fast we go through them. We can try to
we
get
can
through
do
both.
it. We don't have to do both of them tonight, man.
Well, we'll see how fast it goes. I would think it'll go pretty quick. But so I'm going to plug my other screen in. So I have a hard time hearing. I don't think it'll affect my microphone, so you should hear me. So I'm just gonna have to listen as good as I can.
Oh boy.
And let's see.
Now, if I tell you I gotta go,
Yeah,
just bear with me. I don't know. Something is happening.
something's a brewing.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Chernobyl right now is less volatile.
Oh boy. All right.
Yeah.
So let me bring up the covers. Let me bring up which one you want to do first.
You have complete control over that. So it's up to you. We can work with whatever. Well, actually, they're gonna have to go by one side of the bracket. So I don't know how you have it set up, but the way I sent it to you, if you want to look at that sheet and go off of that sheet, or you want me to announce them and then go from there, that's up to you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So right now I have. Let's see. Hold on. Let me share screen. Uh-oh. Okay, so you see the brackets up?
Yeah, I can't really see them that well, but we can.
Hold on.
I can see. I can see. Ride the lightning. I can see it right up there. That's good for me.
Okay, so again, I have I can hear you now. So I can bring up these things as I go. I can update this list. So we'll start with the metal one. I have it up first. So are you ready to kick off this contest, Jess?
Yeah,
Jeff?
man. Let's do it.
Okay. Are you hearing me clear enough?
Yeah.
Okay,
You're
good.
fine.
All right. So I will bring up, I'm going to take down the bracket for a second, and I will bring up. So first one up, Jeff, why don't you go ahead? You announce the albums.
All right. Well, the first one up is going to be "Ride the Lightning" from Metallica, which is a lot of people feel as though that that's not the greatest Metallica album. Master of Puppets is, but "Ride the Lightning" to me is my favorite Metallica album, and I think their best album. So I put that one in the bracket. I tried to pick one album per band, which made it even a little bit harder, and then I put them in a battle against Melissa, the band Merciful Fate, and the album Melissa. For me, I could only say, I got to go with the Metallica album, well, the Picture of the Electric Chair, and just the songs that are on it. I just think that it's the overall better album, but I just like the cover of the Metallica album way better than I do the album Melissa. So that gets my nod, "Ride the Lightning." I don't know about you.
So here they are. I've got them up on the screen now. Now, I don't know if I understand Melissa very well, what that is supposed to signify. It looks like a skull with some lights behind it.
Yeah, I guess it looks like a skull that's going at a high rate of speed, the way the light is being dragged behind it.
Now, I would tell you that I've never listened to that album by Merciful Fate. The album cover to me,
off of that album.
Yeah, the album cover to me is just kind of, I don't know. I'm going to go with you with this one, "Ride the Lightning." I think it's iconic. It's actually a pretty cool album cover. I wouldn't say it's the best one I've ever seen, but and yes, I agree. I think it's their best album. I think it's kind of the high point for me for Metallica. So I would kind of agree with you on that one. So I'll just update the board.
So our first contest, first part of the contest goes to Metallica with "Ride the Lightning."
That is correct. Let me bring it back up.
Merciful Fate. So we get rid of that.
Yep. That's not what I wanted.
While Tommy updates the board.
Yep. Let me update the board. Okay. Let me bring the board back up so Jeff can see it. and then we'll get to the
I
next.
have whatever's easier for you, but if you want to just bring up the next album pairing and
Okay.
then do that,
So let me just copy and paste, and we can move this over. Okay.
I got my list here in front of me too to see where.
Okay. All right. So then I will bring up the next album cover. You can introduce them. Go ahead.
All right. Well, the next ones up on my list, I'm hoping to come up on yours the same way, would be Screaming for Vengeance from Judas Priest versus Blizzard of Oz. These albums are like 2 years apart. I believe Screaming for Vengeance came out in 81 or 82. And Blizzard of Oz came out in 80, I believe.
Yes.
And, both of them iconic covers. I'm, like that cover for the Judas Priest album with, all of the different colors, the monster, the metal looking bird like type monster coming down. I remember when that album came out, it was a big album, the song Screaming for Vengeance. That to me is an iconic album. But then you look at Blizzard of Oz, there's so much going on that front of that album. You got the goat head in the back. You got Ozzy with his name tattooed on his knuckles, holding the cross with the cape. Ozzy looking a little like a maniac, of course, on the album because he was at that point in time. And how much younger he looked back then, too, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is what, 1980, 81, right?
Yeah. And speaking of iconic, was there any more of an iconic album back then than Blizzard of Oz? The people involved with that album, Randy Rhoads, and everything else that was going on with that album and that band at that time. And then the name of the album, Blizzard of Oz, such a, of course, a play on Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Which made it that much even, more intriguing. I'm going to let you pick this one first, man, because this one to me, is a very, very hard pick.
You know what, Jeff? It's not as hard for me if I'm weighing everything. Listen, it's obviously it's an iconic album. To me, I've always said it. To me, it's probably the most iconic metal album of all time because it kind of, while Sabbath was already out and had done their thing, metal didn't really jump to the forefront. Mainstream media, all that until this album. Everybody, I said it before. Everybody went from Sassoon jeans and Sweetors and sham shirts to, having this album cover painted on their jacket, their dungaree jacket. Again, you nailed it. Iconic band, iconic album. And to me, it's just different. And it was so different back from the day. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's Blizzard of Oz going hands down. What's your thought?
It's still a hard choice for me. I would love to say Screaming for Vengeance for a lot of reasons, but I'm going to go along with you for Ozzy because the album came out first and some of the attention that it garnered. So it's hard to. I feel as though there was no way you're going to make a wrong choice there.
No, I agree with you, but I think at some point you have to make a decision, and I would just agree. All right, so let's move on. We're on to the next one. What's your next album? Is it?
I got on my list. I got Master of Reality from Black Sabbath, and the first album from Metal Church. To me, just going by the covers, the Black Sabbath album cover, simple, perfect. They still use the logo in that fashion to this day. Everything blended together on that album. Sometimes purple is the color for Black Sabbath. A lot of different things that are going on to this day. And this is an album that was released almost 50 years ago. Then you got the Metal Church album, which is definitely an underrated album. And it's a cool cover in its own right. If you could pull that down with the guitar a little bit there and all of the moss and the dirt, it looks like it's in the smoke. Me personally, I got to give the nod to the Sabbath album, the cover. But, some people may say that the Metal Church album is a little bit more iconic. That was a good album for Metal Church. And I liked the cover. I thought it was a cool cover, but I got to go with Sabbath on this one.
Well, again, if you're going iconic, yeah, obviously, I think Master of Reality is a much more iconic album cover. If you're asking me what the better album cover is, I would probably say it's Metal Church. I mean, now I like the font for the Sabbath. It's completely recognizable. You can be anywhere in the world and see that, and you know what you're talking about, what you're looking at. If you're any sort of a metal fan. I like the Metal Church album. I don't know much about the album itself. I've heard it. It's probably been 40 years since I listened to it. So if I was going strictly on art, I'd have to say I'll take the Metal Church album. But being iconic, the album itself, the band, I'm going to give the nod to Black Sabbath because, again, it's Metal Church. I just can't see myself voting for that album ahead of a Master of Reality. I think Master might have a problem later on, Jeff, to be honest with you. But at this moment,
we don't know where it's going to go, man. We don't know what's going to happen.
All right, let's get on to the next one. I will get it up. You tell me what's next.
Well, that would be Number of the Beast versus Kiss Alive 1.
Okay, and I have that up.
This is a difficult one for me. And I'm not even the biggest Kiss fan because I guess you got the same text.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm trying not to answer because I want to laugh, but yeah.
Yeah, I got to answer it. There we go.
While you're answering, so here's the thing for me. To me, hands down, the better artwork, the more iconic cover, and it's not by much, is Maiden. I mean, that to me was the high point of album covers in the metal world. It just, Maiden artwork is legendary. I mean, I have so many different albums, singles and all these different, one-off albums that came out, not just to mention the studio albums. And I think the quality went down after this. I mean, Peace of Mind wasn't bad. Power Slave was okay. After that, it got a little too much futuristic for me. But to me, this is one of the most iconic albums of all time. And while I love the Kiss album because it's simple and there's different versions of that album cover, I would have to say I would have to go Maiden on this because this just sums up metal of the 80s for me. This just sums up everything that I got so infatuated with and still do to this day. So I'm going Maiden on this one, Jeff, even though I'm a big Kiss fan. To me, just look at that cover and what it represented and how it drove people crazy, I got to go Maiden.
Well, I put this one together purposely. I paired them together because I figured that this was going to be a hard-fought battle. And I got to go the complete opposite way.
Okay.
Because, and I'll tell you why. The album looks like it was maybe fucking, the picture was taken in a studio on a Friday night. And they probably went there to practice and, like you see the candles in the back and everything else. And there they are on stage or supposed to be on stage. The way that Kiss hit the scene with full makeup, costumes, shocking, the shocking look of them and everything else. But right there in the beginning, leading the charge, and Gene and Peter right there, Paul. And then you got the Maiden album, which, I understand. Yeah, you're right. While the albums were always iconic, the Maiden albums, even the EPs that came out, this one is probably their best.
Oh, absolutely. Bar none. Yeah.
The first album from Iron Maiden, Eddie Killer on it, was not the Eddie Killer that we know. This was the second Eddie Killer. Well, actually, the third Eddie Killer.
Third Eddie Killer, because Killers was different.
Killers, Made in Japan, and now this one. Yeah. And, this one, if you look at this album, there is so much going on.
Oh, yeah.
With people burning in hell.
Oh, yeah, just look at the bottom of the flight of Icarus guys. You see the little Eddie down here in the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Plus, Eddie manipulating the devil, who looks like he's manipulating everything else.
Yep.
It's just unbelievable to me. But then I look back at that Kiss album, and I'm like, here they are, for lack of a better term, a glam band. I'm not going to say shock band. And look at that album. It's still iconic.
Oh,
in
sure.
people's eyes today, Kiss Alive. I myself have to go with Kiss on this one, and not
Okay.
Maiden. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a hard choice.
Okay. So,
But to me, I just, if that Kiss album doesn't come out, dude, I gotta say it, man. And I'm not a Kiss fan like you and Frank Catalano. That Kiss album doesn't come out, music is completely different today than it was, than it is now. Completely different. I don't think we get the music that we got without that album. I
Well,
really
you-
don't. I think that
yeah.
album brought so many people into the music world that it should be thanked. It really should. That's just my opinion.
okay. I'm not disagreeing. I think I never disliked the album cover. I think it's a good one. I don't even think it's the best Kiss album cover ever. It might be the most iconic because it's their first quote unquote live album. And well, you know what? So we're stuck in a tie. I'll ask anybody who's out there listening if you guys have a preference. We're looking for a third vote. If you're out there and you can throw up a comment and say, which is the album cover that should move on? Is it Iron Maiden and Number of the Beast? Is it Kiss Alive 1? We're looking for a little help here. If you can throw it up there, throw it up there.
If we don't get it, then we got to put them to this wayside, and Sabbath moves on by default.
Yep.
To take on the winner of Ozzy and Metallica.
Yes, that is true. Okay, so let's
Ready to go to the other side?
Okay, so I'm going to let me get rid of this one and bring up I'll get rid of this one.
That would be the next one is Pantera versus Overkill.
Okay, this is an interesting one. So for me, I have no dog in the fight on this one. So I'm going to go first on this if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so let me bring it up so everybody can see it and share. Where's Catalano when I need him? All right, so Vulgar Display of Power is a punch to the face. It's for me, it's probably the one album I own from Pantera, I believe. Really good album. I love the Overkill album. I think, I think the artwork is great, and to me, it's one of the most iconic of the thrash metal. Maybe the first thrash album theoretically out there. I mean, people call Bobby Gustafson the godfather of thrash. I have a hard time with this one because I like Vulgar a little better than I do this album. But if I'm going to be fair, I like the artwork here better. I think the Overkill.
It's all about the artwork, man.
I like the Overkill font, the fire in the background, feel the fire. I'm going to make it simple. I'm going Overkill on this one, Jeff.
All right. Listen, there ain't nothing wrong with that. So you're going Overkill, and I gotta go. I gotta tell you, I'm a big fan of both bands, and I hear you. You got a Staten Island Boy right there on the cover of Feel the Fire with Bobby Gustafson. A great album, but as far as to me as a cover goes, I got to go with Vulgar Display of Power. I mean, overall, just the name on it, Vulgar Display of Power. There was a time I was heavily into Pantera and playing in a couple different Pantera cover bands. That title means something, and to me, that album definitely displayed it. I got to go with the Pantera album myself. That's my pick. This one is one we will come back to.
Okay.
And figure something out, because we also have the other Maiden and Kiss that we didn't go. But you're gonna have to hold on something for a minute. I gotta
All right, go ahead.
hold on this. I'll be right back.
Again, Hard Rock and Sports with Jeff and Tom, and we're running through our heavy metal greatest album covers of all time. We're kind of stuck on a couple of them, so hopefully we'll get you guys in to give us a hand, and hopefully you guys will be out there safe, enjoying a nice wet and cold Memorial Day weekend. Please be safe out there, and make sure if you're drinking and drive, if you're drinking, you're not driving. If you're out there barbecuing, please be safe. Safe distance from the house, and make sure if you're using coals that you're you're getting rid of your hot coals properly, so not to burn down any forest or your house. And please be safe while you're out there doing your thing. So again, I hope you guys have having a great day. We talked a little baseball. We did a little basketball with the Knicks. And right now we're in the middle of our tournament. Let's see what else is on my list. Lots to talk about. Belichick we haven't gotten to yet. Oh, man, this thing died on me. Shoot. All right. Anyway, stick around. We got a lot more to talk about tonight. We'll wait for Jeff to get back. Again, Knicks tomorrow night. Let's see. Yeah, we got the Knicks game tomorrow night. We got a lot of hockey going on. I watched a little bit of the Hurricanes and Panthers. Panthers seem very strong, even though they struggled at times. But they are playing well right now and kicked the crap out of the Carolina Hurricanes at home. So we'll keep an eye on those series. I did watch a little bit of the Edmonton Dallas series, which I am rooting for either one of those teams. I'd love to see Edmonton win and get to the Cup Finals, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Again, lots to talk about in the world of football, Christmas games, and 5 different quarterbacks on the roster for the Browns. So we'll get to all of that. Lots going on Capitol Hill. If you're not paying attention, my boy Trump has got everybody on fire.
It's to prove your assertion that you would get individualized review of 781. Don't tell you that I was reviewing this stuff and working on it almost every single day. We would have multiple employees looking at these grants.
Anyway, so back to the to Juan Soto again. I think if you're a Met fan, you got to be patient, but you don't have to. You don't have to sit there and allow Juan Soto to get away with what he has. Now, do I think you should be booing the guy? I don't know. I think it's too early. But if you're Juan Soto, you got to get out ahead of this stuff. You got to get out there and you got to play hard. And if you spent the year with Aaron Judge and you see the way Aaron Judge goes about his business, if you want Soto, you got to imitate that. And what I mean is, I've seen Judge struggle, but the guy shows up, he stands in front of his locker, and he takes questions, and he goes out there and he does his job, and he plays hard every day, whether he plays well or not. And I think that Juan Soto owes that to the Met organization and the Met fans. All right, Jeff's back. Let's get back to the tournament. And we've had a couple of stalemates with Number of the Beast and Kiss Alive and Vulgar Display of Power and Feel the Fire. I think next one, we'll come back to those. I think this next one is going to be an easy one, and that is Back in Black versus Smell the Glove, the iconic Spinal Tap album. Now, Jeff, you can go first on this one.
Tom, I did this one on purpose. The only problem I had with this one is just there's a third album with a black cover that I just could not find. I could not bring it to myself to bring it in there because I didn't know which way this would go.
Okay.
And who might be involved. So we have Spinal Tap, Smell the Glove, and AC/DC, which was either going to be AC/DC Back in Black or the Black Album from Metallica. Okay. So I decided to go with the AC/DC album. A little biased towards Smell the Glove. So I was kind of hoping that Smell the Glove.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
It's fucking great, man.
It's well, I'm gonna make my pick, and it's simple. I mean, I know that
I got to go Tap.
Yeah, I mean, Tap is a movie soundtrack, which it's obviously a fictional band. But the album cover.
Wait, is it?
Well, that's You're very right. It's hard to figure out at this point in time. It's kind of like wrestling in the 80s.
Yeah,
It's fake, but is it really fake? How
Yeah.
fake was it? So Spinal Tap kind of fits the mold. I got to go Tap because the whole album, the whole movie was made when they broke that album out and said, it's black. Can it be any more black? It can't be any blacker. That is one of the most iconic movie moments for me, and one I can't wait to go to see. Not only the original in theater soon, but the sequel. But I do want to bring up the fact that there is an alternative album cover.
I do think that in that pairing right there,
Yeah,
that Spinal Tap actually has the darker black album between the two.
I would agree with you on that. If it's possible to have a darker black, they have it. Now, I do want to show you an alternative Smell the Glove album.
Well, I think I hope it's what I think it is.
All right, let's see.
You have a naked woman on all fours with a glove.
Not that well, it's close. I would say it's very close to that.
Well, it was not the one that we saw, but I don't see anything wrong with that one either.
I don't either. I do like the original better. I think this is probably a bootleg out there. But nothing wrong with the Smell the Glove. I'm going to move that up into the winning category here. I'm going to just Control V. All right, we got 2 more pairings, Jeff, coming up whenever you're ready.
And we got Love Drive by the Scorpions. Now, Love Drive, before we introduce the next band, had 2 different albums covered.
That is correct.
I am talking about the one with the booby on it.
I brought
see a
that one
dog
up.
behind you. I see the ears of a
Yes,
dog.
there's my puppy hanging in there. Yep.
All right, so the one with the girl with the boob and the glue and the whatever gum on it is the one that we have entered in the contest.
Yes.
There you go.
Now, I have the other alternative version in my collection with just the word Love Drive on it.
I have that one. Well, he had the Scorpion on there too.
Yes. So, but this to me is the iconic version of it, obviously. I'm not a big fan of Slayer, Rain and Blood. The artwork on it is tremendous. I think it's great artwork. It's a great band. It's one of the most iconic metal albums of all time. But I got to go Scorpions on this one. This one is just, when you're a 14-year-old kid and there's no internet, that's as close to boob as you get sometimes.
Yeah, that was the album you had to sneak in the house without a doubt.
Yes.
You borrowed it from your friend, told him that his dog chewed it. Your dog chewed it and kept it hidden in your collection when he came over.
Yeah, and you get it in your house. You hid it in between 2 other albums.
Yeah. In case the adult police came and looked at what you were listening to.
Exactly. So to me, I got to go Scorpions, Jeff. I don't see, I don't see how I can't. Do you want to disagree with that?
I have to disagree with that, Tom, only because while not the biggest Slayer fan, I do like Rain and Blood. I think it's a great album. Plus, when you look at that cover, I can see a thunderstorm starting to form in the building, in the house. And, something really bad, dark, and sinister about to happen as that music starts. I'm going to go with Slayer on this one.
Wow, we're running into some problems tonight. So, all right.
Oh, no, I have.
I'm going to change my vote on this one because I do like the artwork. I do. Hold on a second. Where that just got screwed up. All right, we're going to have to do. Hold on, I got to put something back.
No, you could. Cause I got an idea. Right now we have 3, and I don't know if we're going to get. If we're going to get a 4th one out of this, man.
Wait, was it Rain and Blood against Love Drive?
What's that?
Yeah, it was Rain and Blood against. So
Yes.
who went against Van Halen? I think I screwed up.
Megadeth.
Okay, rest in peace.
Yes.
Okay.
And are you going to go Rain and Blood?
I'm going to go Rain and Blood.
Okay. All right, that works. So Rain and Blood is one. And then the next one, the last one, 2 iconic album covers. Megadeth, Rust in Peace, which may be their best album, which had Nick Menza and Marty Freeman on it, an incredible album, versus Van Halen 1, which is an incredible cover.
Yeah, this is a tough one
But
because this is a tough one, Jeff. Go ahead.
it's not about the music on this one. It's about the album cover. This one, this to me is Van Halen music time of the year. Summer is starting, barbecues, hanging out in the backyard, having a few beers, listening to some Van Halen. Always a good thing.
Yeah.
Megadeth pisses off the neighbors and ruins their barbecues.
Yeah.
With especially this album with songs like Polaris and Holy Wars, The Punishment Due, and Witch's Brew, and A Tornado with Souls. But there's just something about that Van Halen album, man. And Vic Rattlehead on the Megadeth albums, he's like the alternative Eddie Killer. And I was going to put Megadeth versus Eddie Killer.
That would have been an interesting one.
But I didn't. So I'm going with Van Halen on this one. I just look at that album and realize that this album's approaching 50 years old, the Van Halen 1 album, and that cover still kicks ass today to me.
I would agree with you 100%, Jeff. To me, there is nothing like the first time I saw that album in person. I own it, obviously. I think everybody did back in the day. So to me, it's not even a question. I think Van Halen 1 is the way to go there. Just so everybody see, why didn't Ride the Lightning? What the hell happened? Control C. I don't know why that didn't move over. Blizzard made its way over. Control C. We went. That's open. That's open. Vulgar. Okay, so we have 3. So right now, Jeff, we're into the second round. Ride the Lightning versus Blizzard. Smell the Glove versus. We're still waiting on that one. Rain and Blood versus Van Halen. We still have to decide on a couple. We have to figure out what do we do with Master Reality. No, Master Reality did win that one.
I'm gonna
Hold on.
let's make this easy. We got Maiden and Kiss.
Yep.
I want you to tell me, and then I will tell you why. I want you to tell me why Kiss should not win. And if you can convince me, then
It's
I will
simple
go
for
with
me. The Maiden album is the iconic album of the metal world. It just says everything about it. It's really what, to me, made album buying. You went to the store and you wanted to find the next Iron Maiden album, not necessarily Iron Maiden, but the next band who had that. You bought the next album just based on the artwork or the cover art. While the Kiss one is iconic, the photo, the band, the whole bit, the album itself, to me, after buying Number of the Beast, it didn't matter almost what the album sounded like. It was more important to buy the next cool album cover that was in that category with Maiden. And that to me is what this contest is about. It's not about the album, the music on it, the iconic the iconic album itself. It's all about the art cover, and nothing to me says 80s metal or heavy metal than that album cover. So that's why I say that album.
Now let me get the opportunity to push my pick on there.
Okay.
Which was the first Kiss Alive album. Okay. And Frank Catalano, I'm being dead serious, so don't say nothing stupid. All right, because I could see you chiming in with something on this one. Okay. That is a real picture. Okay. It's not a cartoonish type picture like that's on Maiden albums, and it's iconic in its own right. And like I said, a lot of people got into music, and that was maybe their first album that they bought and that got them into listening to music and got them into music. Right. While a lot of great albums came out around that time, Kiss Alive, it just I don't know, there's just something about Kiss Alive that makes it different than a lot of albums that came out in that point in time. But that picture of that band at that point in time, I remember when there was commercials on TV for that album.
Mhm.
And I remember that distinctly. I remember watching it upstairs in the upstairs bedroom with my father and brother and mother one Friday night. And I think it was during the Paul Lynde show, if you remember that. And
Yes.
I mean, to me,
75, sure.
while I definitely understand what happened with the Iron Maiden album and what brought that about, to me, the Kiss album is just, it's a great cover. It's a great picture. It shows them in their prime. They'd already had a couple albums out, and it showed them what they were, what they, gave you a glimpse into their stage show. And it was just a great album. But I could definitely see your point with the Maiden. And, I remember getting that Maiden album. I got it fittingly on Christmas morning.
Oh, wow.
Christmas present from my mother and father.
Nice.
That Rainbow, Straight Between the Eyes, and Rush with
Wow.
the subdivisions on it. I think the album was called Signals. I don't remember 100%. And I got those 3 albums for Christmas. And I'm going to change my vote to Maiden on this one to move the contest along. But begrudgingly, I'm going to leave my pick of Kiss behind.
Well,
But I think that Kiss is definitely deservingly of moving up one. I really do. But I'm going to go with you, Maiden and Number of the Beast. There's a lot behind that album. And I don't have a problem with that moving forward.
all right. Well, Catalano, I'd like you to hang in there if you could and help us because he could be the deciding vote when needed. I
Yeah,
think it's fair to say
definitely.
that Frankie's a pretty good judge of this stuff. And so, Frank, if you're around, stick around and you can help us. We're stuck on it. We get stuck on a few. It's going to get a little tougher now along the way. I see the way it's shaping up. But right now, Jeff, I mean,
You got to clean one more up.
yep. So, I mean, we're back to Vulgar Display of Power versus Field of Fire. And I'll
want to
reverse it.
Fact about that album, For
Yeah.
the Display of Power. The person getting punched in the face, that was real.
Okay.
That person was paid, I forget what it was. They were paid like $50 or some measly amount of money. And I think they repeatedly got punched in the face to make that album. They didn't do one of these where they got hit. He got hit, and they just took the picture of it. I think overall, the album itself, just top to bottom, front to back, and everything about it is just a superior album. It was also recorded almost 10 years later. And as great as the Overkill album was, I got to stick to my guns on the Pantera one, man. I'm bands songs like Walk and This Love, New Level. It just pushes it over the edge for me.
All right, we're going to move Vulgar over. I'm going to go with you on this, and then let's see, Control V. Okay, so the next round is shaping up. We have Ride the Lightning versus Blizzard of Oz, and Master of Reality versus Number of the Beast. Vulgar Display of Power versus Smell the Glove. Rain in Blood versus Van Halen 1. So we'll move on to the second round. I don't think I need to bring up the album covers again at this point.
No,
Frank, are you still with us? Because I would love if you stuck around and you were the deciding vote if necessary, or could
hopefully he chimes back in. I think he ducked out for a while.
Yeah, he might have disappeared. All right, we'll see. If not, let's see how we get through. So Jeff, up first is going to be Ride the Lightning versus Blizzard of Oz.
You know what? I love the Metallica album. I love everything about the Metallica album, but I'm gonna go. I got to give it to Ozzy, man. I got to give it to Ozzy. I just think that it's a picture of him. It's a moment in time for Ozzy and what he brought to the table with that band. I'm gonna go with Ozzy.
All right, Frankie.
Feel free to chime in, man.
Yeah, Frankie, Ride the Lightning or Blizzard of Oz? Cover art is basically what it's all about.
Don't wait on him, man.
Yeah, to me, I'm going to agree with you. I think it's Blizzard here. I don't think there's much of an argument here. As much as I like Ride the Lightning, I don't think anybody would call it an iconic album cover. Yeah, I think Blizzard is going to be hard to beat in this category. For me, yeah, I'm with you, Frankie. So I think we're 3 for 3 on this one. We're going to go Blizzard of Oz. Moving on. Master Reality versus Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. This is a tough one. So,
Yeah.
again, a truly classic album from both bands. I would say, would you say it's each band's greatest album?
You know, that's a hard one to say, because Master Reality is a great album. There's some great songs on that album, without a doubt. But this is more the artwork and not so much the songs. Artwork first, song second. I actually think that I would give a slight nod to Maiden on the songs.
Yeah,
because we started to get a different kind of band out of Maiden from that album going forward, and it definitely was a big push for them. Master Reality, I love Master Reality, it's great, but I got to go with Maiden. Look at the cover, man. Look what you're up against. You're talking Black and Purple versus a scene like out of hell.
Nope, I'm with you, Frankie. I think it's a clear winner on that one with Number of the Beast. Let's drop down to Vulgar Display of Power versus Smell the Glove. Now, I love Smell the Glove. It's an iconic album. It's an iconic movie for me. I would say if I got to put it up against another album that isn't all black, I have to go Vulgar here, because Vulgar is also an iconic album, and it's not all black.
No, but there's only one that can be black now, isn't there? Others have tried.
That's true.
But
there are a few that have given it a shot to be all black, and nobody did black better.
To stand the test of time, it has launched videos, it has launched Christmas specials, it has launched movies, it's launched toys.
Yeah, agreed.
It's launched styrofoam. I don't know where else to go. I mean, we're going to have to wait on Frank on this one, man. I am stuck on Spinal Tap, to be honest.
Okay, all right.
I just, no Spinal Tap, no Pantera, bro. That's how I'm looking at it.
All right, so we need your vote on Vulgar Display of Power versus Spell the Glove from Spinal Tap. It is hard. I love Tap. It's my favorite. It's my favorite movie, and one of my favorite movies of all time. And I love the songs on the album, and it's just black. But I went Vulgar. All right, so we're going. Smell the Glove is going to move on.
Wow!
Surprisingly,
man, wow, that's big.
Yes, I never thought to get this far. Now, this is an interesting one. Rain and Blood versus Van Halen 1. Now, I got to go VH1.
Go another second on this one. I got to ask right now, do you see a dark horse? Do you see a dark horse coming?
Well, I would never have thought Smell the Glove would get this far. So I'd have to say it's definitely gotten here. I think it's going to have a hard time toward the end. But the fact that it got this far, beating out Back in Black and Vulgar Display of Power, is pretty good to itself. So let's get to the last of the quarterfinals, and Van Halen 1 versus Rain and Blood, Jeff.
Van Halen 1, yeah. Listen, that Slayer album, that definitely, like I said earlier, you put that on in your house, and you see all sorts of bad things going on in the dark corner, spreading out, coming to get you. That Van Halen 1 album is iconic. Me, myself, I got to go with the Slayer album, man. It's just, an album that's like 26 or 28 minutes long, 40 almost 40 years old. It's going to be 39 years old this year. And it's maybe the most iconic thrash album of all time. So I'm going with Slayer myself.
I got to go VH1 here. I just think that album it's 50 years old or close to it. It's simple but iconic. I mean, the pictures of the guys and Eddie and the guitar. I got to go VH1 here. I guess we're going to have to let Frankie make the deciding vote. Yeah, all right, Frankie. VH1 wins.
I don't have a problem with that, man. I really don't.
Yeah, that's one that I think either way I would have been happy with it. Now we get to the nitty gritty, Jeff. This is where it gets tough.
I got to be honest with you. I'm looking at this championship bracket right now, and I don't have a problem with one side of it. Okay,
no.
But the other one I'm a little torn on, but I got to say Ozzy versus Maiden. two albums that were at the top of their genre when they came out. This to me is going to be a difficult one, man.
Yeah, this
hard.
is a tough one. I'll go first and tell you that I love the Maiden album. I think it's classic. It's everything that you want out of a metal album. I have a hard time picking against it. I'm going to go Blizzard just because of I think it just changed everything. And that's the first. Now, it was the first thing I ever saw somebody have painted on their jacket was Ozzy, and a couple guys had it. And later on, it was a ton of Maiden out there. But I just think that album cover changed everything for me. And I think for an entire generation of rock kids, I got to go Blizzard here.
All right, well, I got to go Maiden. And the reason I got to go Maiden is because overall, as a body of work, I enjoy Number of the Beast a lot more than I do Blizzard of Oz. As great as the Blizzard of Oz album is, and as great as Randy Rhoads is, and as great as that album was for its time, if I was picking album versus album, I would have to go with Maiden over Ozzy. I think the cover has more to it, although we have Maiden as the their portrayal of hell, and then you got the Prince of Darkness on there. But I got to go. I myself have to go with Maiden. So let's see what Frank says. Oh,
Frank's got Beast. He's got it up on it. He said he had it on his jacket.
Okay. So right now we got one into the finals, which is Maiden, and now we're going to Spinal Tap versus VH1, Van Halen 1.
Wow, this is a tough one.
It is. I'm going to throw my hook in the water.
Good.
And I'm going with Spinal Tap.
Wow.
I'm going Spinal Tap. As great as VH1 is, I just can't. I think Spinal Tap has too much steam behind it right now as an iconic album cover.
Listen, you know how I feel. Tap to me is it. It's black. It can't be any more black. The whole movie was geared around the album and the release, and the arguments with the record company. Artie Fufkin from Polymer Records. This is a tough one for me. I got to be honest with you, because
you are right now as it stands.
Yeah,
Frank,
I see that.
Boy, you are the deciding vote.
Shit. I got to go VH1. I'm sorry. Wow. I just do.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. As much as I love the Tap album, I just, I look at that Van Halen album and I just remember everything about it. Like, I remember the first time I got it and I stared at it and I saw Eddie and the white guitar, and
I can hear it. If I'm holding that album, I can hear it.
Yes.
Not to sound stupid or whatever, but like, it just, you look at the songs, as you read in the back of the songs, you can hear David Lee Roth singing.
Yeah.
You can just hear so many different things about that.
Easily album. In the top 3 to 5 debut albums of all time in the hard rock and metal. I mean, it's just easily, you can have Boston, you can certainly have Appetite, and then you have that album, and you can argue over, a few other albums. But to me, the first time you put that album on and you heard, Running with the Devil, to bomb, 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 that was it. So I go VH1 to get to this point here. Now I'm stuck.
Well, you know what? Now here we are. Iron Maiden versus Van Halen 1. Okay. I don't think it's going to get much better than this. There could have been a couple different ways this went. I think this is a good ending. I'm happy with these two combatants in the last round.
Yeah.
But I got to go. I'm going to go first. I got to go with Maiden. I think that their album cover just has as iconic as Van Halen 1 is. It's as simple as it is. The Van Halen album, the Iron Maiden album, you could probably still find things on that album if you looked at it that you never realized or saw before. My vote is for Maiden.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to let Frankie go next. I'm going to let Frankie jump in there. But, yeah, I mean, it's hard, to pick. And, Jeff, what it comes down to is, and I know, we're all fans of different metal bands. And, last 2 weeks ago we did one, and Maiden came out as the greatest metal band of all time. You know, now their artworks come out there. You know, there's a pattern here. You know, and yet Maiden's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, but wow, and Maiden for cover. Wow, he's going to go VH.
Well,
boy, this is a tough one for me.
But
I
here's
have
the
to
thing,
tell you.
Frank. Here's the thing, Frank. We're going on strictly album cover. You got to. It's artwork. That's what it's not. It's
Yeah,
not.
I mean-
versus thing. You could discuss that you like the album and everything else, but it's more based on the artwork. So if you want to revote,
Frank, you want to revote before I make my pick? If you want to stick with VH, it's fine. Because I agree with you. The VH music is tough to beat on that one, although that to me is the high point of Maiden, and there's nothing wrong with the next couple albums. Yeah. But I you know, to me, that
we're just going strictly on the main part of it is the artwork. That's
Yeah.
what it was. Wow, Maiden then. Okay.
Okay, so then it's going to be a unanimous. I was going to go Maiden myself. So Maiden has come out on top, Jeff, of your greatest of all of album covers is Iron Maiden. Well, how'd that wind up there? That shouldn't be there. Sorry.
I think that's fair. I think that was a good battle.
Yeah.
And I think that they deserve the win. They beat out a lot of other albums. You know?
Yeah, it's a great. Listen, it's a great contest. Now, if Frank, you're sticking around a little long because we have another category of classic rock greatest of album. If you're going to stay, and we can run through it fast and get it. If not, we'll postpone it and do it maybe next week or the week after. So let's see, Frank, you sticking around a little bit? I agree, Frankie. Eddie's the man. That's nothing wrong with Eddie. Okay, good. All right, so Jeff, let's run through it. What the hell?
Let's try to blast this one a little quicker than the other one.
All right,
All right, this one, Frank Catalano, just so you know, strictly artwork. Strictly artwork. So Tommy has a couple pictures if you're stuck, but we're not gonna rely on the music of this one. So this one you got Toys in the Attic, Aqualung. There's a lot going on that looks kind of like a nightmare that a kid would have with both of them actually. But the Toys in the Attic album, I think is an iconic cover. So is Jethro Tull with Aqualung, but I'm going to give the nod to Aerosmith.
All right, Frankie, what are you thinking? Yep. All right. That'll be unanimous. I'll make the update here.
You were picking that one too?
Yep. It wouldn't have mattered, but yep, I was.
Yeah, Toys in the Attic is a great album, man. That from start to finish, music wise, yeah, but the album cover itself is it's pretty cool. It's a sick album cover. They must have been tripping hard when they made that one, man. Without a doubt. Next one up is Boston. That is the wrong Jimi Hendrix album, but for our purpose,
yeah.
we'll use it.
You're right.
We'll change it now. Don't worry about it. I was going to go with this pick anyway. For me, it's Boston.
I kind of agree. Oh, shit.
Frank,
Yeah,
do you
you're
want
right.
to chime in on this one? Boston.
Yeah, Frankie. I mean, it was Jimi Hendrix. All right, so it wouldn't have mattered.
It wouldn't have mattered. The Boston album to me is, a debut album. It's unbelievable album, man.
Okay, next up.
Well, we got Machine Head from Deep Purple and the album Foreigner from Foreigner. This one was hard for me, but I got to go Deep Purple.
It's a tough one. I would tell you it's really close. I mean, I'm not a fan of either band. That's a tough one. Frankie, what are you thinking? Let's see.
I just think, look at the cover. I just think Machine Head is a more iconic cover. Look at it.
It doesn't matter what I think. Frankie's made the same pick as you, so I would agree with you guys. I think the purple one deserves to move on.
And then the next one, I know we're kind of rushing this, but that's okay. We just spent how long on the other one?
This is a tough one.
Me is hard. Abbey Road versus Physical Graffiti from Zeppelin. Man, wow. I just recently started listening to the Beatles and Led Zeppelin within the last couple of years. But I mean, is there anything more iconic than Abbey Road? And then I look at Physical Graffiti and I say, is there anything more iconic than Physical Graffiti? And I say, yeah, it's Abbey Road. I got to go with Abbey Road, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of the most iconic album covers of all time. I don't know if it's the best Beatle album. I don't know if it's the best
It's a
album of all
great-
time, but
Dude, I'm sorry. I mean, my opinion, it's a great Beatles album.
yeah.
And I'm not huge on the Beatles, but I can listen to that album from start to finish. And a little footnote, as you notice on that album, Paul McCartney is barefoot.
Yes.
And supposedly when they bury you with no shoes on.
Well, that was always the
That was part of the
urban
conspiracy
myth.
theory.
Yeah, that was always the urban myth. Paul's dead. There was that they had a guy who looked like him, and that's
Yeah.
why he walked barefoot.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
so you guys know, my brother, when he did his albums and when he did his album and he did all his photo shoots, he was barefoot in his stuff because he, for some reason, decided that he was Paul McCartney.
He's gay too.
Yeah, that too. All right. Next, so Abbey Road moves on. Next, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, I tried to get the Fleetwood Mac in there only because of, it was an iconic album in its time, and I believe it came out the same year as Billy Joel, who, by the way, in that album, in that picture, is also barefoot.
Yeah, that is very true.
And if you look at Stevie Nicks and Mick Fleetwood on the Fleetwood Mac album, wearing ballerina shoes, which is almost like being barefoot. So,
yeah, this one I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm going to go with Billy Joel on this one. I don't like either album color. I don't think it's. I don't like either one. I definitely like Billy Joel a little bit more than I like the Fleetwood Mac.
the reason I picked the two of them is because they came out around the same time. Fleetwood Mac album, there's a lot of great songs. If you, Tom, go back out and check that album out.
Okay.
You've definitely heard more songs.
Oh, my wife listens to it all the time. There's no doubt.
I
Yeah,
think
so I know the albums. Believe me.
And Billy Joel, The Stranger is an awesome album.
Very good album.
I got to go with Billy Joel myself, only because I just, got to go with him.
Okay.
And then the next one, this one is a good matchup, I feel. Captain Fantastic by Elton John, which is a great album cover, versus Goat's Head Soup from the Rolling Stones. Not the biggest Stones fan, but that picture of Mick Jagger wrapped up in a plastic bag or whatever is great. But there's a lot of stuff going on that Captain Fantastic album. And that came out around the time of the bicentennial. Captain Fantastic. Yeah, Philadelphia Freedom, I remember, was a song. I think Captain Fantastic came out in 1975, but the song Philadelphia Freedom was on the radio a lot because of the Revolutionary War and Revolution and the country's bicentennial.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with Elton John, too.
Okay. Move it over.
And that's ironic right there, because Billy Joel and Elton John went on tour together at one point in time.
Oh, tons of time, yeah.
All right, so now we got Hotel California by the Eagles versus Heart, Little Queen. We've got the picture of the Wilson sisters on there, dressed like it is, I don't know, like a medieval times a little bit. That reminds me of that. Versus the Hotel California. Kind of like an 80s vibe with the Hotel California album, no?
Yeah, I would say it's like you would see that in a Beverly Hills Cop movie.
Yeah, or Vice,
Yep.
Miami Vice. I got to be honest with you, I got to go with the Eagles myself. And Frank said Hotel also. What is your vote, Tom?
Yeah, I would say, what did you vote, Jeff?
I have to go with the Eagles.
Okay, I mean, it doesn't matter at that point. I would have probably said Heart. I just think that there's more stuff hanging in there, and you can look at the Heart sisters. I think that's always the better, but I have no problem with Hotel. I hate the song, but
yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. But that album is just probably worldwide known, man, for just that song alone.
All right.
Okay, and then the last in the first round is Who's Next by The Who and Queen 2. I had to get a Queen album in there, and the Who had to be represented. I got to go with Who's Next. I love the Queen 2. It's my favorite Queen album, but look at that album. They're all pissing on something in the middle of fucking nowhere, looking like they lived underneath that fucking thing, especially Pete Townsend. Keith Moon pulling his fucking wanger away.
I agree with you. I wish there's so many more there's much better Queen albums covers than that one. So if you had picked a different one, I would have maybe done with it. But I have to agree with you guys. The Who's Next album, while I'm not a fan of the Who, I think they're just an overrated band.
Did you know that Queen album?
Yep.
Also, and Frank Catalano probably knows this. I don't know if you do it. Inspired Metallica.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Do not so much that the album. They also put out a poster and shirts, very much like that, when they were all black and they did this, and it was like supposed to be a skull and crossbones.
Okay.
And it was based off of that album, which was a pretty cool fact.
Sure. Okay. All right, so we're out of the first round. Matchups are Toys in the Attic for Aerosmith versus Boston, Machine Head versus Abbey Road, The Stranger versus Captain Fantastic, and Hotel California versus Who's Next. So,
Frank,
guys, let's go right from the top.
They did Stone Cold Crazy, but it wasn't on that album. That was on a later album. But Tom, back to you. Yeah, Aerosmith versus Boston.
Tough one.
I hate to say this, but I got to go with Aerosmith on this one.
Okay. Frankie, what are your thoughts? I'm torn on this one. To be honest with you, I think I like Boston on this one. I'm not a big fan of that album cover from Toys. I just think it's cartoonish to a certain extent. But Frankie says Aerosmith. We go Aerosmith. Okay.
All right. Well, listen, you know what? It's once again, they're both great album covers. Aerosmith has a little bit more going on there. Keep you busy while you're listening to it. But listen, it is what it is, man.
Okay. Aerosmith moves on, guys. Machine Head versus Abbey Road. I'm going Abbey Road. I think
Abbey Road.
Machine Head's a very basic and blah album. I'm going Abbey Road.
Yeah, that's just an iconic photo, man. I'm sorry. So now we got Aerosmith versus.
Well, let's keep going. We gotta drop down. Let's finish the round.
Versus Abbey Road on one side. So let's see who their opponent's going to be.
Okay, so here's another one. The Stranger from Billy Joel versus Captain Fantastic.
Remember, this is artwork.
Yep.
So I'm going with Elton John and Captain Fantastic. I just think it's a cool looking album. Frank picked Elton John also.
Hold on one second. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, you have The Stranger from Billy Joel versus Captain Fantastic.
Me and Frankie went with Elton John, Captain Fantastic.
Okay. I would be the same way. So either way, it's up there. V.
And then the final bracket in this round is Hotel California versus Who's Next. And I got to stick with the Who on this one, man. That's me. Who's Next? That's my vote.
Yeah. All right. You guys up. You got it. No problem. I'll switch that over there now. Okay. All right. So we're into the semifinals with Toys in the Attic versus Abbey Road and Captain Fantastic versus Who's Next. This is going to be a tough one for you guys because you're.
Oh, I thought you just froze for a while.
No, just all right, so Toys in the Attic versus Abbey Road. I think this is an easy one based on what you guys have been saying. But Jeff, have you changed your mind when you got to here? Is Abbey Road still the the album of choice. Frankie's going Abbey. You're going to go Abbey, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I got to go Abbey Road on this one, man. I got it. It's
Okay.
how could you not at this
Yeah,
point?
no, I get it. Captain Fantastic versus Who's Next?
Me personally, I got to go with the Who. I got to stick with the Who, man. That album is just, to me, the scream. I know we said the music, but just that scream to me on "Won't Get Fooled Again" is probably the best scream in rock and roll music.
Well, again, it's just based on album covers now, not.
No, I know, but I'm just to me that's
Okay.
I just love that album. I love that cover. You know, the
Right,
Who,
well, you and
like they were
Frankie, you and Frank are in lockstep. You guys are all over. So now here it comes. This is where it gets the metal meets the road.
Tom, too many were decided before you even cast a vote. I'm going to ask you to go first so we get your voice in, man.
No. You know, it's fine because I would have probably voted with you guys the whole way through. You know, to me, again, I know the Who album is what it is, but to me, Abbey Road is Abbey Road, and I wouldn't vote anywhere else. I think it's a tough album to beat. It's the greatest band of all time, and it's simple and yet says everything. So to me, it's Abbey Road.
I'm actually covering up the screen so I can't see what Frankie says. I'm going to go with the Who, man, and Who's Next. It is a hard decision. I think both of them represent the band well, both bands. Abbey Road is just an incredible album. The cover, awesome. But if I ever went to London, I'd want to get my picture taken at an intersection, of course.
Yeah.
But I'd also want to piss on that fucking block of cement that the Who's pissing on. So, you know, I got to go with I'm going with the Who.
All right, Frankie, you're the deciding vote. Is it Abbey Road or is it the Who?
I know he wrote the Who, but I think that was for the
That was for the other one. That was for the vote for Captain Finn. Okay, he's Abbey Road in it. So that's the winner. Abbey Road has moved on as the champion. So, you know, it's not part of this now.
Yeah, both iconic covers. Without it, there was no wrong decision in any of these contests, man. There really wasn't. There was some good albums covers, and a lot of these bands are known for those album covers. And to me, Abbey Road, come on, man. The album is incredible. The cover is incredible. Matter of fact, let me see. Go on. I got to see. I think I have it in the other room. I got to get something to show you something.
Yeah, so I do want to. I want to just run it past you guys one time. If we had to line them up, Abbey Road versus Number of the Beast, which way would you go?
Well, first to see this here.
Well, I can't see it.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, you're probably not going to see it very well. My wife's daughter got this for me. She went to London and knows the guitar picks that she bought from Abbey Road Studio. She went to Abbey Road Studio.
Oh, really?
A long time ago, yeah. And then she got me that from Abbey Road Studio. Yeah, I you know what? I'll say this much. Well, another hard decision, Abbey Road or Maiden. I think that I would go with the picture of the real musicians over the cartoonish drawn painting type picture.
Okay.
So I got to go with Abbey Road myself on that one. It's the most iconic.
All right. Listen, it's fair. It's very fair. All right. That was a good night. That was a good set. I'm glad we went through that. We got through it quicker than I expected. So we still got a few minutes to talk about some other stuff that's going on.
What do you got?
Okay. So we talked a little Mets and Soda. We talked Knicks. Let's talk a little NFL before the night's over. First thing, the NFL came out with the schedule. We went through that a little bit last week, but there's 3 games on Christmas Day, and from now on, the NFL will have 3 games always on Christmas Day. Do you think it's a little over the top, Jeff? I mean, Christmas Day, I think this year is a Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's a Thursday. Now, normal Thursdays, you have a game. Thanksgiving, we have 3 games. But on a regular day now, let's say it's a Tuesday in the middle of, December.
December 25th is a Thursday.
All right, so let's say in a regular year it's a Wednesday or a Tuesday. You'd have a game all day Sunday, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday or Wednesday would have 3 games, Thursday night game, and then Saturday, and then those 2 weeks is usually a Saturday and a Sunday to follow. I mean,
Well,
at
how about
some
this?
point,
You can have teams that play on Sunday, unless they did the smart thing, and then whoever played Thursday, that would be 2 of the teams that would play. So you're actually only going to hurt 4 teams. You know what I mean? By making 3 games on, I think it's too much.
yeah, I just, while I don't mind, I love the NFL. I just think that sometimes you're overdoing it. And Christmas Day really should not be about football. I'm sorry. I love Christmas. It should be about family. And again, people watch football together, but there's so many other Christmas stuff. I don't know. Again, of course, Christmas Day, I will watch the games. They will be on in my house. They were this year. They will be next year, and probably every year after that. But I wish they wouldn't do it.
Well, let me ask you this: 3 games on Christmas. I'm assuming 1, 4, and 8 p.m. as Frank had said.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take 2 of them away. Which one are you playing? Which
4
one
o'clock.
are you going to? 4 o'clock game.
Yeah.
I say put on the 8 o'clock game.
Well, again,
Because you're winding down from the day. Most people have a busy December 24th, and then the 25th is a busy day also. And then you got friends, family, whatever going on all day, Christmas, and then maybe a little football at night to wind down, but maybe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock start. Just here way, you could get the game in. Some people have to go to work the next day. Just a little something for to break up the day and to let people unwind.
Come back and play the Giants at home without a bye. Yeah, that sucks, Frankie. We'll go through the schedule next week when we have more time. I'd like to go through some of the games, maybe make some predictions. But yeah, again, I just think 3. I don't even think playing any games is there. But you may be right. Maybe the night game is people have kind of wind down. Everybody went home already, probably.
What are you doing on Christmas night?
Probably getting ready to go to work.
What is your typical Christmas night like? When does it end?
Well, Christmas Day is usually here. My wife, we usually have her kids here because they spend Christmas Eve with their dad. We spend Christmas Eve with my parents. So usually they're here. We usually start 1 o'clock. And I would say it depends. But I would say by 5:30, it's pretty much done.
All right. So if it's over by 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
5:30, 6 o'clock, you put everything away, you're relaxing, you're digesting, enough time to take a little bit of a nap. Maybe an 8 o'clock game on Christmas night's not so bad. Depending on the teams too, of course.
Yeah.
There's going to be certain teams that you may decimate the Sunday games when maybe nobody wants to watch the Sunday games. Like maybe make that a flex game and see, like, say the Bills and the Chiefs are both tied. Make that the Sunday night, the Christmas game or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it a good game. Or don't put on like the Carolina Panthers versus the Saints.
Well,
Nobody wants to see that.
No, I agree, but I think you're right on the flex thing, and I think that's you never know. I mean, there have been years where the Carolina Panthers were a good team, and the Saints were a really good team. So I think and listen, there are times that you don't want to see Cowboys Packers. It's just a bad game, or Steelers and the Ravens.
That's what I'm saying. Something like the Panthers and the Saints more than likely is not going to be a good game.
No, I agree.
Sometimes that'll be the game that's on, and you'll get a team that's maybe 4-10 versus the other team that's 7-8 or something stupid like that. That you're like, this game, neither one of these teams is going to the playoffs.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more.
Broncos and Chiefs may actually be a good game. I don't know if it's going to have any playoff implications, but those are two teams that might make the playoffs again this year.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think we're going to start to see the regression of the Chiefs now? I mean, we saw that they weren't great last year, but they got in the playoffs. They made their run. We all picked them to win the Super Bowl, and then they got their heads handed to them by the Eagles. You know, teams have a shelf life. We've talked about this 100 times. You can't pay everybody. Eventually, the magic wears off. Will the magic wear off this year for the Chiefs?
We're about to find out in a few months. I got to agree with Frank. I don't know, man. I think if anything, you know, you're talking Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, that just those two on the same team alone are going to keep that team relevant.
Yeah,
You know?
I would agree, but I could definitely see the Raiders being better this year. I think they've upgraded. I don't know if they're winning divisions and stuff. I'm not sure about the Chargers. I do think the Chargers will be better. And I do think the Broncos are going to be better. I think another year under that system for Bo Nix.
Every year you could say the same thing about just about every team in the NFL. And when you watch the draft and you're like, oh, look who they got. This guy's a freak as a tight end, the greatest tight end since whatever. You know, if you listen to all that hype, you're going to have 32 teams that are going to go 17-0. You know, the bottom line is that every time there's a game, somebody is going to lose. That's all there is to it. Until the Chiefs are knocked out, they're going to be like the Patriots. They're still going to be the team to beat. The road to the Super Bowl still goes through the Kansas City Chiefs, as far as I'm concerned. You know, what other AFC teams really have a legitimate shot at getting to the Super Bowl? The Bills. I don't know. Maybe the Bengals window is closed or starting to close a little bit. You know, teams like the Broncos, they are trending in the right direction.
Sure.
But, you know, until somebody knocks the Chiefs out, you can't discount them.
No, I couldn't agree more. Let's move on to the Browns. The Browns have 5 quarterbacks on their roster.
Who did they get now?
Well, you got to remember, they had Deshaun Watson, even though he's not playing this year because of the Achilles injury. They have Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and 2 rookies, Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. So my question to you, Jeff, is most teams at most will have 3 quarterbacks on their roster. If you're making a prediction right now, who are the 3 quarterbacks that are going to be on their roster, and who's the starting quarterback week 1?
On the roster, Flacco, Sanders, and Watson, and Flacco starts.
Well, let's take Watson. Let's say Watson is on injured reserve. I don't know how that would work. No, he wouldn't have to be on the roster because he would be on the IR. So let's take him out of it.
On the pup list?
Yeah, let's say he's on the pup list. So now you're down to the 4. So let's say you think Flacco is going to make it, right?
Yeah.
Now you got Kenny Pickett, who they just traded for, and then you got the 2 kids they just drafted.
I think Shedeur Sanders stays. I think that there'll be an uproar and a half if Shedeur Sanders is not on that team. I think that it'll be more of a hassle to let him go, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Pickett, listen, there's always room for a quarterback like Pickett. Somebody will grab him. He could be a serviceable backup for somebody.
I agree with you 2 guys. I do think it's Flacco and the 2 kids. I think Pickett either gets caught and picked up by somebody else, or maybe somebody like the Saints who are desperate. Maybe the Steelers take him back. I doubt it. They have no quarterback right now. I still think I think Kenny Pickett winds up someplace. I just don't know where that's going to be right now.
Possibility. I read possible. Tannehill to the Steelers.
Oof! Wow, they're really desperate. Wow.
Well, dude, when you have nobody, somebody's better than nobody.
No, you're right.
Who are the somebodies to choose from?
No, well, that's just it right now. Kenny Pickett and I didn't even know Tannehill was still floating around out there. I mean,
he's still a free agent, yeah.
Right now, they're going to the season, the Steelers, with Skylar Thompson and Mason Rudolph.
I can't believe that.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. That is unfucking believable, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I would say, if they went into this thing with all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket and they get burnt, good for them. That they deserve everything they get.
You know what? Listen, once again, we only could believe and understand what we are led to and what we see. Okay, if Aaron Rodgers turned around and said, you know what, I'm more than likely going to play. If I play, I'm coming back. I'm playing for the Steelers. Okay, the draft was almost a month ago, and the Steelers have done nothing. So, yeah, unless there's a behind-the-scenes agreement that's ironclad, I just don't understand what they did, man. I really don't. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense.
No, it certainly doesn't. It's really, it really is a perplexing situation. I mean, I know the Saints got blindsided with everything that's going on with Derek Carr, but the Steelers, they went through this, and again, if you're the Vikings, I'm sorry, Vikings. If you're the Falcons, I don't know if I'm trading him. I just don't know. I know the kid came in and played well last year at the end, but there's no guarantee he does it. He doesn't. I would think I think you'd have to bowl them over with something to get Cousins out of there. But we'll see. I think that's an interesting.
Tom, if you think that you have a chance, unless you're giving up on this season, and you're just like, listen, whatever people think, they think. We don't think that we're going to stand a chance of winning this season. Fuck it. We're not going after anybody. We're just going to use these two guys and get a quarterback in 26. Yeah. You have to try to go after Cousins. You have to do something. And at this point in time, what Aaron Rodgers is doing, without even saying, I'm going to play, I'm not going to play, I would just be like, I'll help make your decision easier. You're not playing here. Yeah. And that's all there is to it. Because who knows, everything could have been different if the Steelers took a quarterback at 21.
Yeah.
The whole draft could have been different for everybody.
No,
and they didn't do nothing.
And, there is, the Giants are sitting there with two veterans in their room that they could move one if they were that high on Jackson Dart. I don't think they'll trade either one, but they got them low money. And again, they're not changing the world, but you could put either one of them on the Steelers and be better than what you got right now.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the way I see it. Okay, I understand what you're saying, and yeah, I could agree with that to an extent. But how about this? You already had Russell Wilson on your team, and you let him go.
Yep.
Are you going to turn around? Is Jameis Winston that much of an upgrade over who you have on the squad?
Yes. Yeah. He's much better than Skylar Thompson or Mason Rudolph at this point.
Well, Skylar Thompson I could see, but Mason Rudolph, I mean,
again,
Jameis Winston's a turnover machine, bro.
Oh, no. Again, I'm not telling you winning a championship with him, but he's an upgrade on either one of those two guys. You're not winning a Super Bowl with him. You're not even probably making the playoffs with him, but he'll at least be entertaining, and you're going to get a few games where he throws for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. Maybe he throws for 3 or 4 interceptions as well. But he'll put some points on the board.
He's going to fucking balance it out. Don't you worry about that.
There's no doubt. He'll throw 30 touchdowns next year, but it'll be 30 interceptions or 31 interceptions to go along with it. So
yeah, it's gonna be a rough year for somebody, man. And
right now,
I mean, I guess in a perfect world, I was reading something earlier where it said, as far as Jackson Dart and the Giants, not to get off of the Steelers, but they're predicting that he's going to play possibly 9 games. So if you're the Giants, maybe look into trading one of those two guys. And if you're Jameis Winston, like you're saying, let's stick with him for a minute. Maybe you don't mind going to Pittsburgh. But, Jameis Winston came in and he seemed that he was ready to, take over as the Giants starter. And Carson Wentz is a free agent already, bro. He don't have to get cut. He doesn't have a team.
Yeah, I don't know what Carson Wentz's status is, but
wasn't he on the Chiefs?
He was.
But last year, I think he was on the Chiefs.
I believe he was the Chiefs' backup. Yeah.
And not for nothing. What is the problem with Carson Wentz? His stats aren't that bad, and yet everybody thinks he's a horrible quarterback. Did he piss people off or something?
I just think he was another one of those guys who just was a turnover machine and just never. The problem is sometimes the problem is where you were drafted, not that you were drafted. This was a guy who was number 1 overall, and never panned out, and it never was good enough. And maybe it's behind the scenes. Maybe he doesn't work hard enough. A lot of times,
was he signed by the Colts? Because I just looked it up and it says Carson James Wentz is a quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't think he's with the Colts. I think the Colts got Rich and Daniel Jones, and there's somebody else there, but I don't think he's there. But it's possible. I did not. I can look that up.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, go ahead. Again, Hard Rock Sports. That's Chef and Tom, and thank you to everybody for tuning in and hanging with us tonight.
Last year he was with the with the Chiefs.
Okay,
he's still listed as being a Kansas City Chief right now.
Okay,
when you look up his profile,
I didn't see him
on ESPN. He's still got the Chiefs colors.
It wouldn't make any sense to be on the Colts. I mean, they already got Richardson and Jones. And I'm sure there's somebody else there that I'm not thinking about. But, well, it's interesting. But listen, it's getting a little late. I do want to get to your big gig on Saturday. What the time has been officially announced?
Yeah.
Are you guys first, second, third?
We are the second band. And we are going on at, I just saw it earlier today. I think it's 4:00. They're saying, hold on.
Who was the first band of the night?
We go on 4:45 to 6. First band is wow, this is changing all over the fucking place. We are the middle band. It looks like American Cover Story is 3 to 4:30. We are 4:45 to 6 p.m. And then Panic Level Orange is from 6:15 to 6:45.
Well, it looks like Frank Jeffrey and I will be stopping. We'll be stopping by for your performance. I'm not sure if it changes for Frankie, because I know he was thinking it was 4:00. I don't know if 4:45 is too late for Frankie, or if I'll find out. But I will be there. It's at the Trotters, right out on.
Yes. Yeah, and now it's starting later.
That's what
I don't know.
Hey, is there a fee to get in? Is this an outside event, an indoor event?
It's an outside event, yeah. It's $25 to get in, dude.
Okay. Is it
I don't expect that to
is it based on the weather, any chance? Like I don't know, I think the weather's supposed to be crappy this weekend.
I know Saturday it's not supposed to be that bad. So
checking my weather app right now.
I don't know.
New York City for Saturday, tomorrow. It is cold. The high on Saturday is 59 degrees.
Wonderful.
At 5:00, it's 59 degrees. That is the high of the day. It goes down right after that. By the middle of the night is 50 degrees. It is cloudy all day, and the high of temperature at 5:00 is 59 degrees. So, again, I'm hoping no rain. I will be there. Either way, $25 is not scaring me from coming to your gig.
It scares me.
Well, listen, like I said, I might be there. I'm going to be going to dinner tomorrow night with Frank Jeffrey. We're going to out to eat with him and Matt. You're welcome to join us. I know you're not a big Jersey guy.
I'm gonna, dude. I have to fucking, and Frank, I hear you. Please, no rain. I got to practice and shit. I'll be practicing a better part of the day tomorrow.
All right. Well, we'll be heading out to dinner over at the Olive Garden. I don't know how that got in the mix, but we'll be at the Olive Garden. Again, if you hear anything about the weather altering things or your time changing, please let us know so we can. Will there be other things going on there? Is it just bands? Are they having a carnival type atmosphere?
No idea, dude. I couldn't even tell you. I have no idea.
All right. Just figured we'd ask, but we will be there. So hope everybody comes out. Frank, I heard you might be going, so hopefully I'll get to see you there as well. We'll hang and have a couple of laughs, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. But we're going to end the show right here. We've done 2 hours, and this was a blast. We did a lot of greatest of all times. We did another round of album. We did album art for metal and classic rock. And I want to thank Frank Catalano for helping us out. And,
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man.
yep, and we'll be back next Thursday night with a regular show from the regular studio. And I'm looking forward to that already. So, Jeff, anything you want to close with?
No, man. Other than wait another week or so, and I was always thinking of different things to do on the show. I'm thinking maybe the next contest we do is guitar tandems, guitar duos. Like who's the best guitar duo out there? What do you think of that?
That sounds good to me. Hey, listen, I'm all for this guy. Frankie, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you on Saturday. Have a great night. Thank you. But yeah, if we could do guitar tandems, or I might be hard. Is there enough guitar tandems to put together? That's a tough one. Interesting.
There will be.
All right, I'm sure you'll come
figure
up
it out.
in a couple of weeks. But either way, we'll come back next week. I am going to go to use the restroom myself right now, and I got to figure out what I'm doing the rest of my night. But my dog needs his treats because he's harassing the crap out of me. So everybody, listen, have a great night. I hope everybody stay safe this weekend. It's Memorial Day. Make sure you honor the vets that you know, and we do wish all our veterans a safe weekend. Fleet Week's out there. Please be careful if you're heading to the city. In the meantime, good night, guys. Stop. Meanwhile, have a good rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, a great next week. And we'll see you back here next week on the Hot Rocket Sports Show. So for Jeff, myself, and everybody here at Hot Rocket Sports, have a great night. Hefe, I'll talk to you off the air.
You got it, man.
All right, pal.
Later, bro.